Hey kids, let's talk about something other than Fortnite and Minecraft for once. I did make a Half-Life 2 video once upon a time. I actually made two, but they suck. Yeah, I don't like them. I never did. They were sloppily made. So I thought I'd restart that cycle with one big-ass video where I retrospect every Half-Life game I've beaten. This means Half-Life 1, Half-Life 2, and the episodic trilogy. I know I'm lame in using Half-Life Source for this video, because Game DVR on my PC doesn't work with the original version, sadly. Now I have to play the version that has bugs and shit. For Half-Life 2, I'm using the updated weapon models to make sure they are fixed, so when I go to view model 65, there are no blank spaces. I'm not using all new weapon skins because I think that's altering the experience too much. So without further ado, let's review Half-Life. Back in 1998, when Half-Life was first released, and holy shit, November 19th? That's my birthday! What a twist! Half-Life came to critical acclaim, as it should. All the praise this game gets is well deserved. Without Half-Life, we probably wouldn't have story-based FPS games. Half-Life was praised for its unique gameplay, settings, and story. But what are my thoughts on this game? To be honest, I felt this game was a big deal, and I played this in June of 2019. I thought this game was better than the newest shooters released today, but that is really unfortunate. Gaming was supposed to evolve, not just graphically, but gameplay-wise, and we were disappointed. But there are always old games to fall back to, and Half-Life is one of those games. Let's begin discussing this whole game with a simple plot summary.
Good morning, and welcome to the Black Mesa Transit System. This automated train is provided for the security and convenience of the Black Mesa Research Facility personnel. The time is 8:47 a.m.
Half-Life begins with a lengthy tram ride, and right off the bat you know where you are and who you are. This tram scene goes on for at least 5 minutes, but you get the look of the place you're going to be exploring. The tram scene is excellent, but it's really only exciting on the first playthrough. This may seem gimmicky and restrictive nowadays, but that's probably because the tram scene was adopted in so many games since Half-Life. I don't need to list any, because that would be a waste of time. If I could make a game, I would have a tram scene, but instead of a tram, it's a school bus. Anyways, I'm getting off topic here. The tram scene is decently cool now, but I can only imagine what it was like back then. When you get off the train, the story really begins with walking around the Black Mesa Research Facility and doing shit. You can walk into the break room and fuck with a microwave and make a microwave casserole explode. Yeah. Once you get your HEV suit, you go to the test chamber and press a button and push a cart into the anti-mass spectrometer, which was boosted to 100%. Then a resonance cascade happens. What is a resonance cascade, you might ask? Well, it's this.
It's not shutting down, it's not...
After all that shit happens, the military shows up to silence everybody in the Black Mesa Research Facility because they see it as a lost cause. But it's Gordon Freeman. You gotta make your way to the Lambda Core and get to Zen to stop the resonance cascade. The government blows Black Mesa up and Gordon is put into stasis by the ever-so-elusive G-Man, leading to the inevitable sequel which wouldn't come until 2004. Half-Life has an amazing story that won't be forgotten for years to come. It is a legendary story that spawned gaming narratives even further beyond their initial state. I guess Gabe Newell proved you wrong, John Carmack. If you understand that reference, you're a legend. Half-Life presents so much to the table, and in the opening tram ride that is lengthy, but it's there for a reason, to set the tone. Half-Life is large and empty, because most of the time when you traverse Black Mesa, it's just you and your weapon up against an unstoppable threat. Half-Life is bleak and lonely, and whenever you do run into somebody, they say things that put you on edge.
I'm not sure I want to go to the surface. What if the world finds out what we were doing down here?
The music can set the tone perfectly as well. More on that in a bit. But the music that plays during the opening tram scene is calming yet unsettling. You could call it the calm before the storm. Now let's get into the soundtrack. The music in the original Half-Life is astounding, because every track has a purpose. Because the music Kelly Bailey has crafted is never out of sync with what is happening on screen, and the music is used only when really necessary. This is a good thing because it gives you more time to soak in the ambience of the Black Mesa research facility. But when music does play, it's impactful, whether it be action-packed carnage, subtle grandiosity, or creepy and unsettling. Every track has its use, and it's a damn fine soundtrack, and I'd recommend anybody listen to it, or buy this game just to listen. Half-Life puts emphasis on fast, brutal combat, because in this game, you can never stop moving, and that is a good thing. It forces quick decision thinking while dodging attacks and switching weapons. You need to know what weapons you need to use while on the run, while moving left, right, forward, and backwards to dodge attacks is a necessity. Because you have to move so fast, levels are pretty much more barren than a nun's porn collection. But this is a good thing. That means there's nothing to distract you from running and gunning. The weapon selection is a bit too large for my liking, because I'm in the notion when it comes to weapons, I'm a less is more kind of guy. Because you tend to forget about certain weapons when using other ones. In Doom 1 and 2, you never forget about any weapons except for the fucking pistol. Because each weapon has a use. The shotgun can be used for long-range attacks as well as close range. The chain gun is a bullet hose, which is great for weaker enemies. The rocket launcher is great for clearing out larger enemies in open spaces. The plasma gun is like the chain gun, but more accurate and can be used on bigger enemies. The Big Fucking Gun 9000 is there to clear large rooms of enemies quickly and great against bosses. The chainsaw can stunlock enemies when you need to save ammo. The Super Shotgun is less accurate than the shotgun, but does twice the damage and can get rid of lost souls and other weak enemies very quickly. Doom has a perfect weapon selection because no weapon is forgotten about besides the pistol. Let's look at our weapons in Half-Life. We get a crowbar first off, and is a great ammo saver and used to bust open crates, and you can't leave one crate left on the map without busting it open with a fucking crowbar. The pistol is effectively replaced by the assault rifle. The shotgun is a great close-ranged weapon, but this is when problems start, because the revolver shows up and you forget about the pistol mainly. And then you get the crossbow, and the revolver is a weaker version of the crossbow and less accurate. Also, it has a shorter ammo capacity than the crossbow. Then the Tau cannon is effectively replaced by the glue-on gun, because the glue-on gun is more powerful and does the same job only better. The snarks are useless because they don't just attack the enemy, they attack you as well. I barely use them. The grenades are never forgotten, but the trip mines are, because the C4 does the same job with only more control. See, a few weapons are forgotten about, and is this good? Nope. The weapon variety is still great, and I occasionally use the pistol for head grabs, but I mostly use the crowbar for head grabs and barnacles. The enemy variety is far superior. The Zen creatures are all unique and fun to shoot at. The soldiers are brutal and hard to take down, but they're not that fun to shoot. The bosses are unique and fun, and I mean, who saw Gonark coming? Nobody! But alas, let's talk about the actual shooting for a moment. You see, unlike Doom and Quake, Half-Life's shooting is bland. Enemies don't really react to being shot, but thankfully they bleed all over the place. If the sound effects weren't so powerful, I would discard this game immediately. Listen to these sound effects, they're orgasmic. Oh, this game pleases my eardrums. Thankfully, the sound effects make this gunplay from to average, so good job, Valve. Anyways, moving onwards. The pacing of the combat is unique and fun, because one minute you're hitting head crabs and vent shafts, and other minutes you're climbing along the cliff edge while being shot at by soldiers and turrets. The pacing isn't as good as Half-Life 2's, but Half-Life 1 pacing is pretty damn good, and it works well enough. Half-Life has top-notch level design, and what I mean by this is that they all look, feel, and sound great. Every level in this game is very enjoyable, for the most part. Yes, there are some bad levels, and some great levels. But let me complain first. On the original version, the level design was worse, because in Half-Life Source, Valve tightened up Gordon's movement speed and slippiness, but in the OG version, Gordon always felt like he was walking on ice. This is really bad for platforming because Valve makes you jump and walk fine lines, which isn't ideal for Gordon being a walking grease ball. I also forgot to mention some movement in the gameplay, so here it is. In Half-Life, there's a maneuver you have to master called duck jumping, and you have to master this because sometimes you need it to cross large gaps that a normal jump won't get you. This is mitigated when you get the long jump module, but that is for Zen only, so platforming can be a total bitch. Valve really like to fuck with you and put tons of platforming in this game. Fuck you, Valve. But it's not all bad. You kinda get used to duck jumping and walking fine lines. And it can get to a point where when you switch to a modern game, you wonder why there is no duck jumping and platforming. No, that's just me? Fuck. Anyways, Valve crafted the levels to fit Gordon's movement speed and the way you have to traverse areas. Let me talk about my favorite levels in this game. Blast Pit, Surface Tension, Lambda Core, and the Zen chapters. Let me start with my first favorite, Blast Pit. This is a rocket testing facility, but a creature from Zen has overrun the testing area. It's an excellent boss fight, and it's very unique. It can't see you, but it can hear you, so you have to use the grenades to distract it while you run to each exit. You turn on the fuel and oxygen, and you turn on the power, and you have to make your way to the controls and test the rocket to burn the giant claw monster to a crisp. Good luck, dick. Surface Tension. This chapter is when Half-Life becomes a different experience, one a lot more savage. When you see a sandy area with some enemies, you want to run in there and kill them all. You're out for blood, but there is mines beneath the sand, so you gotta use explosives to make the mines explode to avoid damage. This is also when you climb up the cliffside. That part is awesome. I love vertical level design. You also get the rocket launcher in this level, which is awesome. Surface Tension also has a lot of cheap bullshit, like this area where you get ambushed by hit scanners if you don't play your cards right. Overall, great level. I like it. Lambda Core, baby. Oh yeah. Here we go with some bullshit teleport puzzles and annoying platforming on moving surfaces. Even if this level is overly difficult, I kinda love it. It's the level where you get the gluon gun. You're just running through, massacring everything. Oh yeah, just tearing through. And the gluon gun is pure magic. Then you open the portal to Zen and go to the next level, which is my personal favorite of the game, surprisingly. Okay, I'm just kidding. Surface Tension is my favorite. I count all the levels in Zen as one whole chapter. I just call it Zen. Zen is a disgustingly organic in design and structure. Zen has lower gravity than Earth, but you still gotta use the long jump module to platform a lot. These are my least favorite platforming sections, but hey, at least there is more gorgeous vertical level design. Good stuff. That boss fight with Gonark is awesome, and the Nihilith is a creepy final boss fight. That ending with the G-Man, I love it. Zen is a great chapter, and I can't understand why people hate this chapter so much. I actually think it's a pretty damn fun chapter. My final complaints. I want to talk about how retarded the AI is. Enemies can only perform one action at a time, so it just ends up being stop and go for them. Also, the NPC scientists are really fucking stupid. I tell a scientist to follow me one way and he just goes the opposite way. Also, when I walked around the chapter's surface tension, this may be just the source version, but there's an unpegged skybox that always annoys the shit out of me. In conclusion, I love this game. It is absolutely one of the greatest games of all time. If Half-Life was released today, I would imagine it would blow the world away with top-notch gameplay and level design. If Half-Life 1 feels like a big deal to me today, I can only imagine what it must have been like back in the day. I'm going to give this game a final score of 8 out of 10. Also, you can run this on pretty much anything nowadays. My computer can run it at a stable 120 frames per second with no hiccups at all, and I love it. It is just absolutely one of the funnest games I ever played in my entire life. Also, I'd recommend you get it, you degenerate fuckwit.